Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B-Man, and I am back. Welcoming you to Kung Fu Film Focus for this Thursday, April 4th, 2024. And we are back with another edition of this show featuring a review of a Kung Fu film from 1979. A film that, if you're familiar with names like John Liu and Don Wong Tao, you may be familiar with this particular title. And the film in question is Death Duel of Kung Fu, a film that was not as popular as the original team-up of Don Wong Tao and John Liu, where they originally teamed up in 1975 for Secret Rivals, a film that I did cover once before here on Kung Fu Film Focus. But, yet and still, a classic of the genre, because when these two men teamed up in a film, it usually has something to deal with northern kicks and southern fists. Basically, the fist versus the leg or feet style of Kung Fu. Fighters who are leg fighters, fist fighters, typically from the different passages of the Shaolin Temple, descending down into where practitioners found themselves out in the provinces and regions of Southeast Asia and spreading the knowledge of their combative skills. This film in question once again brings these two men together, and they also had a Korean counterpart that joined them, and that's Eagle Han Ying. This gentleman was someone who played in these films with these guys and was able to do some heads-up martial arts action with them. The choreography of these gentlemen was second to none. Eagle, who's also known by his Korean name, Kim Yong-gi, he came into the martial art films in the late 70s. He starred in films with Jackie Chan and these two gentlemen, and he had made his claim to fame being a fighter with both leg and feet skills. A very popular fighter, and he made a lot of films in Taiwan. Some of the Geoffrey Ho films, you would know him from some of those, but the films that are more popular, The Fearless Hyena, Dragon Fist, Death Duel of Kung Fu, Shaolin Drunk Monkey, Shaolin vs. Tai Chi, Shaolin Drunken Monk, 10 Shaolin Disciples, 7-Star Grand Mantis, and more. I always wanted him to be featured a great deal more than he found himself featured in these films, but it was always a pleasure to watch him execute his skill set. As far as John Liu was someone that a lot of you guys are familiar with him. He would bring his amazing flexibility and leg kicking style to the films, and he's the one, if I have to remind you, he could hold his leg up with one hand and execute a multiple series of various kicks out of one position. Then he'd do these splits and he'd get right back into it. I think he was noted for defeating Chuck Norris in a competition at one time in the early 70s. He was trained by Flash Legs Tan Tao Long. Tan Tao Long was his noted Sifu. Amazingly, they didn't go head-to-head on film against each other, but they had amazing kicking skills. And though Tan Tao Long's kicking skill was totally different from John Liu, John's kicking abilities made him look so rubbery and flexible. It was amazing. They say that when he was studying, he had been in pain for almost 2 to 3 years from the exercises that allowed him to gain that type of flexibility. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. And again, in this film, he's joined by Don Wong Tao, who many of you may remember, who has played numerous kung fu martial art films. And the two of them had teamed up more than a couple of times. Secret Rivals Part 2. Even though John Liu is in Secret Rivals Part 2, Don Wong's character from the first film does not show up, but he has a younger brother in the sequel. But these two men were very popular and a winning formula. And of course, across from them, they had the venerable Wang Ching Li, who was one of the most amazing martial arts that films had ever seen. Wang Ching Li's martial arts abilities were so amazing. The only thing that I wished was that he had bounced on the scene a couple of years earlier and would have had an opportunity to play opposite Bruce Lee. The two of those men were something with their martial prowess. But yet and still left a tremendous legacy in the cinematic record books. Don Wong Tao was selected by Golden Harvest Films to star in some films for them as they were looking for more real martial arts practitioners to replace the late Bruce Lee. And he started out with Golden Harvest in early productions like Back Alley Princess and Chinatown Capers. But he had a starring role in a film that Bruce Lee turned down before he passed away at the height of his fame. A film, a little nugget called Slaughter in San Francisco. Don Juan took that leading role, and Chuck Norris played in that film also as a bad guy. In many of Chuck Norris's filmographies, they don't mention Slaughter in San Francisco, but the internet is undefeated. You can find it out there. It just had a recent Blu-ray release, I think under 88 Films or Eureka Films, where the film has been restored in 2K. It looks great on Blu-ray, and you get to see Chuck Norris in all his badassery in this film because he is truly playing a bad guy. So, just a little bit of backdrop on that. And as I said, these men, they were joined by Eagle Han Ying, a guy that you need to see more of if you love martial art films. Rounding out the cast would be Charlie Chan Yulam. Charlie Chan Yulam is a guy that you've seen in tons of martial art films. He's usually playing a bad guy or a smart, wise guy or something like that. But he's been known to be a decent fighter on screen. Then we have the actress Kim Chang-ya. She is the film temptress here, where her character flaunts her feminine wiles, but she's playing like a spy in this film. She's joined by the aging veteran in martial art films, Wu Chia-sang. Wu Chia-sang is a guy that you have seen. He's played old masters, teachers. He's played old men who are being bullied. He's playing emperors. He's played so many different roles. But his face is very familiar. And of course, Philip Coffey is in this film as well. And there are guys who, once you see them, it's like, oh my goodness, I remember that guy. But there are plenty of action stars, and the choreography for this film was done by veteran martial arts stuntman, actor, and choreographer Chen Yuek-sang. Chen Yuek-sang, you've seen him in tons of films. He's usually playing a bad guy, a little lecherous dude that always gets punched in the mouth or whatever. But he had very high martial skills and was often part of a stunt team like Jackie Chan's stunt team to create choreography and action for a lot of these films. Joined by Mang Hoi. Mang Hoi is a little guy that went on to martial fame himself, but as a little boy, he starred in a lot of what they call independent films. He was a Chinese acrobat. One of the films he's noted for being in is called Bruce D-Day at Macau. I'm trying to think of, there's another name for Bruce D-Day Macau. I can't think of it at the moment. Forgive me, Stormy gets forgetful sometimes. But he's also guest starring in Enter the Dragon as the little boy that's on the boat when Bruce Lee tricks the Australian into the little sampan and lets the rope out. and he hands the little boy the rope to pull on the sampan. That's Mang Hoi when he was much younger. But he went on to star in a film called The Buddhist Fist. No, excuse me, not The Buddhist Fist, The Buddha Assassinator, where he fought Wang Ching Li in there. And that's an amazing film with some amazing kung fu action. Great martial action in The Buddha Assassinator. I'm going to do a review on that film in the coming days, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a understanding of this audience or this cast of players who are in this film. Some great talent here that tells you, exactly what you could expect dealing with this particular production. Death Duel of Kung Fu also is known as Showdown of the Master Warriors. A Korean title was known as The Swordsman in Plains. It was an original Taiwan production and is filmed in Mandarin. Most reviews that have stood for this film on a scale of 1 to 10 usually ranks it around 5 or 6 or so. But it may be a little bit higher than that simply because of the talent that's associated with this film. But the story is real simple and basic. You have Don Wang Tao, who's playing like a mercenary, and John Lau is playing a mercenary also, but they are on different sides of the prefects. And Han Ying is playing a bad guy who's like a hired killer, a deadly sort, and he's just an all-around baddie as well. And later in the film, they have to team up to fight this guy because his skills in one-on-one, neither one of their northern fists or southern kicks can deal with him singularly. So they need to team up to defeat him. I want to go to the chat for a minute and see who we got in the building. Let's see who we got up here. Got a couple people. Let's see. Woke is out there in the building. What's good with you, Woke? Good to see you out there. Shogun 76, the Shogun of Harlem, is back. Always tuning in to Stormy's Kung Fu Film Focuses, and I appreciate that, brother. Supreme Beast Boxing Talk is in the building this evening. What's going on with you, Supreme Beast? How you doing? He says, salute to the Grandmaster Sensei. Yeah, Rashid Rourke is out there as well, saying peace, my brother Stormy. And peace and respect to everyone. Yeah. Yeah, man, these Kung Fu movies, man, they are a nice breath of fresh air. You know, when you get a chance to talk Kung Fu films, there's a tremendous group of followers of these films. A lot of guys, you know, they be in the backdrop. Just like when I do the Nerds on Culture show on Mondays, there's a huge nerddom over Kung Fu films. But some of the guys are not like inclined to just come on out and let it be known. It's like some reason they like to keep a lid on it. And I know I was a victim of that sometimes too, when your woman will tell you, you watching that Kung Fu crap again, you need to turn that off. You're a Kung Fu freak. Yeah, I am. And you better sit down before I practice some of my moves on you. Huh? Yeah! Try to shame you out of your love for Kung Fu. You can't do that, huh? Just like can't nobody shame you out of your love for shoes, huh? When women walk past a shoe store, their feet start pulsating. They just got to go in and put some on their feet, huh? Just got a new pair on this morning. Yeah. So why we can't enjoy our kung fu, huh? Stop playing with us, huh? Take these nunchucks. You know what I mean? So Stormy just got to tell it like it is, man. Huh? Ain't no shame to the kung fu game. So for you brothers that's out there and you want to enjoy, you know what I mean? Relish and revel in your kung fu fandom, huh? I've been out there on Facebook, I've been out there on the Instagram, I've been out there on the X, Twitter, all that, and say, hey, come watch Stormy's Kung Fu Film Focus, man, where we can talk about these kung fu movies. And they just be looking, you know. But then after I do the live stream, the doggone thing, the reviews goes up into the hundreds. Because there's thousands of them out there, bro. Thousands. And I know the channel is mostly boxing, but I saved some extra space for the kung fu, huh? I do. Yeah. Here's a shot of Don Wang Tao early in the film where he takes out the emperor. He was sent as an assassin. Not the emperor, he was like the headsman of the emperor's palace or something, played by Wu Cha-sang. Man, he chopped his head off. Now in some versions of this film, you don't get to see this, but I got a great DVD version of the film. And remember, when I first start watching these, I was watching them on VHS. And the VHS kind of edited out some stuff. This film has a lot of nudity in it too, because the old girl there, Kim Chang-ya, she shows her bosom a couple of times in here. So some of y'all freaks, y'all can go and check that out because they really zoom in, huh, on those. Yeah. But anyway, there's an opening scene here where he's talking with the leader of the guard, Wu Cha-sang, and Don Wang chops his head off, man. If you never saw the uncut version of this, it's wild. And this image right here is when he holds up the trophy after he separates it from the body. Yeah. So, some amazing stuff, man. Amazing stuff. But I like these kung fu films because there's always some crazy stuff going down in them, you know? Always some crazy stuff. Here's another shot, a promotional shot from the film that's showing John Liu and Eagle Han Ying going at it, huh? And Han Ying's using that mantis fist against John Liu's what do you call it? Northern leg style. Yeah. So, you know, great action here, man. I mean, it's great action. It is very reminiscent of The Secret Rivals, because you could just basically substitute Han Ying for Wang Qing Li. And of course, you've got John Liu and Don Wang reprising the similar characters that they played in Secret Rivals. We got a couple more brothers that have come into the building. Let me take a moment and acknowledge. Rashid Rourke says, I don't think I saw this one. Yeah, you need to check it out, man. Death Duel of Kung Fu. It's got a familiar theme song, I think from the Magnificent Seven. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. You know, they used to steal from the Westerns. Back in the early 70s, they would always sample music from, you know, popular soundtracks from Westerns, and also popular modern music. Like Isaac Hayes was sampled a lot with these kung fu films, man. There's something about the Chinese, man, when they were doing these kung fu films and their production staffs. They would comb through some American music, man. Yeah, they would do that. Soul Power, aka Gamed Up Kennels, is in the building. What's good with you, bro? Steph Brown has joined us saying, be well, Storms. You be well as well. Appreciate you. And No Smoke TV is in the building saying, Sensei. Yeah. So there's always something happening in these kung fu films, man. Always something happening. Yeah. Here's a great shot of Don Wong taking on some villains in the forest, where he's transporting the beheaded guardsman, to show that he had infiltrated back to those who hired him to do this job. That little strap you see on his chest, that's on his back, is a box that he put dude's head in. And when they would chop heads off like that and carry them with them, they would like smother it in lime so it wouldn't be all decayed and everything and smell real bad. So they use lime to pack that. So he's walking through the hot forest and stuff, and them guys are jumping out trying to attack him. He has some great scenes out there in the forest where he's fighting those men off. This film has lots of action, lots of practice scenes where the martial artists are practicing their specific fist styles or kick styles in the case of John Liu. One of the reviews on this film from way back in 2007 by a gentleman named E. Waffle that was online. I'm going to read you his review of this film, and he scored the movie a 5. He says it's recommended only for the fights. He says that Death Duel of Kung Fu is as average a movie as one can be. It has decently choreographed fights that are typical of this era, uninteresting cinematography, almost non-existent set design, and acting that consists largely of actors standing around either recovering from a fight or preparing for one. The movie surprised me in 2 instances. One was discovering that the hero was carrying the head of a slain traitor in a box to deliver to his superior officers in Taiwan. The other occurred with the lovely female star when she dropped the top of her kimono to distract gamblers she was trying to cheat. That's that nude scene I was telling you guys about. Nationalist Chinese patriotism. Nationalists as the then and current rulers of Taiwan was never far from the surface, at least in the dubbed version we watched. Both Sun Xing Kui and Sun Sin, apparent rivals or even foes throughout most of the movie, were committed to Taiwan, where the rightful rulers of China were waiting for the right moment to conquer the mainland. The nationalist PRC split was emblematized by the Qing and Ming conflict. In several cases, Sun Xing Kui said that he had to get General Chang in order to deliver intelligence on the tactics of the enemy. He was also going to deliver the severed head of an enemy field marshal, but that part of the plot line and the head itself was abandoned. That was a shame. It might have made a more interesting film if the head had remained in play. Another potentially intriguing aspect of Death Duel of Kung Fu was the use of the subversion of the male gaze, represented by Sung Shin looking at the partially nude body of the female lead. The first time was when she was cheating the gamblers and dropped her top. There was a close-up of her very lovely breasts, which the foolish gamblers concentrated on, but Sun Shin was interested in something else, a very striking looking medallion hanging between those breasts. It would prove to be a key plot point later on, and Sun Shin noticing it showed he was more astute than the others. The same two were involved in the second time. The woman was bathing in a stream. When she got out to dry off, there was Sun Shin. She clutched her garments to herself and turned away from him, but in this case he only had eyes for the very large and detailed tattoo of a snake on her back. The camera, and by extension him, ignoring the most likely lovely posterior she was presenting. The tattoo meant nothing in particular. The two characters speculated a bit further that she was Japanese and even a member of the royal family of Japan. But like the head in the box, this line of development simply stopped. See, with reviews like this, you could tell that this is not a lover of Kung Fu films, but someone who is like looking for more greater depth. And I have to admit that some of the films from the early 70s, they only had mild enough plot devices to gain the advantage of placing the actors into conflict situations where they could show their martial prowess. That's the whole point. Now, as better films were made, story details, the acting performances themselves, set design, all of those things increased according to who was producing these films. A number of the Shaw Brothers films were noted for their costume and set designs first and foremost. The actors, due to having plenty of opportunity, they got better as time went on because of the number of productions that they found themselves starring in. So a number of them, like David Chang Tai-wah and Di Long, these guys, they were experienced in playing various roles, and some of them took their acting serious and they got better. Even Chen Quan Tai, who started out as an action choreographer, he was a person that started with small roles but eventually started playing main characters because he had that rugged Charles Bronson-like look, the ability to fight, and he had a bit of a charisma and intensity that they needed for the machismo of the films that they were making, typically headed up by Chang Che. Chang Che directed he and Di Long and David Chang and later Fu Xing, all of these guys in ensemble roles that saw them play multiple characters aligned in a brotherhood or some type of a gang or army or something like that. And it served to great purpose because each and every one of them had something about themselves that stood out. That's why independent films like this, Death Duel of Kung Fu, stand out on their own merit, because when you have fist experts like Don Wong Tao and kicking experts like John Liu and men who did animal styles very well like the Korean Han Ying, what happens is when you put these men out there, you can focus in on certain specific action styles of choreography because they are featured at their best doing these things. David Chang, T. Long, Chen Kwa Tai, though Chen Kwa Tai was a real life monkey fist practitioner, none of them could hold a candle to these three men that are in this film as far as martial prowess. And see, that's the difference. But Shaw Brothers had the better productions, not necessarily the better scripts. You know what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind. What I've learned over the years is when watching Kung Fu films, you have to attach yourself to the genres or subgenres of the films. Me, I like and love a lot of the original films that they call bashers. That's kind of like the ones where they were fighting hand and fist without swords and knives, just before the Bruce Lee films came on the scene. And then shortly after the Bruce Lee films, because those were the films where they'd be fighting for like 10 minutes at a time. You know, like Bruce D-Day at Macau, that film, the last fight scene of that film lasts almost 20 minutes. It's amazing that Bruce Ling Cha Lung is fighting for as long as he is in that film. It's crazy. But again, to digress into finding part of the genre or subgenre that you like. Some people like the films where they fought with knives, swords. Some people like the period films where they have traditional robes and the ponytails and things of that nature set in ancient China and stuff like that. You have to find what you like and then study up to learn the actors and actresses who play in these roles, and you find the films and you can have it as an outlet. Like I used to talk with this brother, we would talk Kung Fu films, and he said he hated the modern day Kung Fu films, like when they running around in blue jeans and wearing stacks and fighting in the streets and jumping out of cars and stuff. He said, man, I used to hate those films. He was like, I just couldn't get into them. I like the more traditional films. And I can understand what he meant by that. But some of those films were pretty good too, because, you know, the laws in Hong Kong were like this. Their gun laws were quite different from America. So being able to fight with martial arts and knives and blades and machetes and stuff like that, that was part of their culture over there, more so than over here where somebody pull out a pistol on you, you know? So it's like, you know, and then they still were kind of dressing like us too. So it's like, but imagine you fighting somebody and they break out in karate and they kick you with them stacks. That's gotta hurt, man. Huh? Shogun, you hear me? You out there? If you get kicked with some stacks on, man, hey, man, that's gotta hurt. You going to the hospital. But them guys be going at it, you know? But it's like when I did that review of the Iron Dragon Strikes Back. I told you guys to watch that film. That's that Bruce Lee Ho Chung Tao film that I recommended it highly because I said the way it ends and everything, I said, you guys ain't gonna believe that movie. And I had a couple of brothers come back and tell me, they was like, man, Stormy, that ending though. I'm like, yeah. That's what it's all about with the Kung Fu, man. Let's see who else we got out there. Healer, the teacher, is in the building. What's good with you, Healer? Good to see you out there. And Derek Gaines, the legend, is in the building, saying, Stormy B-Man, salute. Right back at you. Yeah, man. But these films, I'm telling you, there's some good stuff here. I like Death Duel of Kung Fu. Excuse me. I really like the film. So there's something going on. It says we got about 9 or 10 people out there. Hey, you guys got any questions about this one? I can answer a few questions if you got it. Rasheed Rook says, I don't like the jean wearing hard bottom shoes movies either. Yeah. My boy, he called it, he's like, they be running around in them stacks. That's what they used to call the platform shoes, right? Stacks. They be wearing them stacks, man. Dressing in them bell bottoms. Man, I tell you, some of those films, though, they're pretty darn good, man. They're pretty darn good. Yeah. But yeah, I can answer some questions if you guys got some questions about this one, man. It's a favorite. And you notice I'm not saying, oh, this is a great film, because it's not necessarily that, but it's got some guys in there who can really, deliver in the martial arts action scenes. That's why I say you got to learn how the genres flow. Some of these guys, they were really, skilled fighters, man. Skilled, very skilled. Jackie Chan became a big star because he could do his own stunts, and he came up with some different types of action for his films, but he still couldn't hold a candle to these guys as far as martial ability. And that's what sets these films apart genre-wise. I salute to my man, the Jab Jamboree is in the chat. What's going on with you, At? I see you out there, brother. Yeah. Yeah, Rasheed Rock, that was the Iron Dragon Strikes Back, starring Ho Chung Tao, the guy they call Bruce Lee. I don't like to call him Bruce Lee, so I prefer to call him by his real name, Ho Chung Tao. The Iron Dragon Strikes Back. It's also known as the Gold Connection, where those guys found some gold in the ocean and they stole it. And then the guys that they stole from came looking for it, and their little friend, he had went back. They said that they was gonna leave the gold for a couple of days, and if nobody claimed it, they'll come back for it. But he went back after they left, and he stole it himself. And the mobsters found out that he had the gold because he took it to a blacksmith and had the bars melted and transferred into money. And he went out and bought some threads and bought himself a wig because he had a bald head. And the monsters found out, and they was after his ass. Man, that movie is good, man. I might watch that tonight. It's because it's so like real life, man. It's real life. And them mobsters came for all of them, bro. It came for all of them. And they were fighting. They didn't even know why the monsters was after them until they found out that their friend had stole the gold. I love that film. It's pretty darn good, man. Yeah. Another one that Ho Chung Tao plays in that's very good is called The Chinese Stuntman. He played in a film called The Chinese Stuntman. Dan Inosanto, Bruce Lee's friend, who also starred with Bruce Lee in Game of Death, the guy that wore the red headband with the nunchucks, the red nunchucks, and fighting with the Kali sticks. That's Dan Inosanto. He's actually in The Chinese Stuntman with Ho Chung Tao. Very good film. Yeah, Rasheed Rourke. It's called The Iron Dragon Strikes Back. It's on YouTube. You can pull it up on YouTube. Pull it up and send them the link. Tell them to watch it. That movie is all right, man. I like the Iron Dragon Strikes Back. It's just like some regular everyday dudes run across some gold, and they like, should we take it? And they like, no, it could belong to somebody, but let's just leave it here. If it's still here when we come back in a couple of days, then we'll take it. Man, they friend was like, I'm going back after y'all go home. He went and took that gold, and it was on after that, man. Could you imagine your friend getting you in some trouble with the mob like that, man? It's like they could not escape the situation that was kicked off as a result of him stealing that gold, man. No way. So nobody got any questions, man? You can ask me a few questions on this. I'm telling you, I'm prepared. Stormy is prepared to answer if you guys got something. See, it's easy to sit up and talk about Shaw Brothers films. Those are the most popular ones, of course. And but some of these other films that I feature on here are films that people may have even forgot about, or deserve to have some notoriety. So that's what it's all about. I will be doing more Shaw features in the future, but just know that I do this, as by design. I do it that way by design. Okay, you just found it, Rasheed Rourke. That's cool, man. Yeah, send him the link and tell him to watch this, man. He gonna be like, man, that movie is a damn trip. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just thought, come out here and talk about this one a little bit for you guys. Anytime you pairing up John Liu and Don Wang Tao, man, it's gonna be some pretty good action with those two guys. That little image that I got there with the picture surrounding it, that's the original theatrical poster. Then I got a picture of the another foreign poster image of, for whatever reason, they wanted to feature Don Wang on the poster more. They say that Don Wang was a Taekwondo man, but his kicks were not that great. his kicks were not that great. And I didn't know until I saw Secret Rivals that he was as skilled with the nunchucks as he is. Because, you know, Bruce Lee used the nunchucks. There weren't a lot of guys. Chung-Yik used the nunchucks, but not a lot of guys. And I saw Don Wong in films that were in the later portion of the 70s. And I didn't see Secret Rivals until years later after it was released. But I was impressed with seeing him be able to use the nunchucks and everything like he was. I want so badly to show you guys the trailer for this film, but I can't show you the trailer because if I show you the trailer, I might get flagged for it. And I ain't trying to get my show flagged. They already messing with me, but it's kind of crazy, man, that they do that. You got people out here reviewing other people's content and everything, and they don't even touch them. But I show a little 2-minute trailer of these Kung Fu movies, and here they go flagging me, you know. I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. Rashid is saying the actor on the top left is a good with kicking, right? Yeah, that's John Liu. I explained it. I don't know, Rashid, if you were there from the beginning of the show, but I broke it down that John Liu is a experienced leg martial artist, and his sensei was Tan Tao Lang, who's also known as Flash Legs. Tan Tao Lang has been in movies like with Jackie Chan, The Hand of Death, also known as Countdown and Kung Fu. I did a review on that, Kung Fu Film Focus on that. And very good Korean martial artist. But yeah, John Liu, one of the best kickers in Kung Fu cinema history. Yeah. Mike 202, what's good with you? I see you out there. JJ, yeah. What's going on? $704 Joe says, I don't like guns in Kung Fu movies. Well, you know what's funny? In that movie, Slaughter in San Francisco, with Don Wong's first starring role, and Chuck Norris is playing the bad guy in there. What's his name? Who's the stunt choreographer for this film? Chuen Yat Sang. He's the second guy at the top of the film poster here with the long black hair. He's playing a bad guy in there, a gang member. And when Don Wong and his black police partner, because they're playing police officers in Slaughter in San Francisco, when they're fighting with Chuen Yat Sang pulls out a gun and he shoots at him. But dude, it's hilarious. When he pulls the gun out, he pulls it out sideways like this and fires it like, phew, and they show the dude holding his neck like he got shot in the neck. Man, that's one of the funniest scenes I ever saw. I can't help but laugh every time I see that shit. I'm like, man, and the bullet didn't go in his neck, but it like grazed him, you know, but it was like the way he responded. They treated that brother so bad in that movie, man. I hate what they did to that brother in there. But Don Wong was avenging him because that was his partner, man. But they still took the brother out. I'm like, man, they should have hired Jim Kelly for that role. Oh, man. JJ says, add a fair use tag on the top of the videos you want to review. JJ, I did that too, man. They still came at me, man. So I don't know. They pick who they want to mess with that stuff. You know, they pick. I've talked to some other brothers in the community. It's the same thing. They pick who they want to let get away with stuff, and they pick who they want to hold accountable. Or penalize. But I ain't got no problem putting graphics together for you because you can see. Just like I did this evening. I put good graphics up for you guys, you know. But it's ridiculous, man. Totally ridiculous. Yeah, Rashid, they overacting. It's like, but it was underacting because, first of all, if you pull a gun out to shoot it, you don't pull it out and hold it sideways and fire like, phew. You know, like you're not even really aiming. You just pointing in the direction of, but it's like, phew. You know. And then the dude that got shot was like, It's the whole way the scene was shot, man. It's hilarious. You gotta watch it. Go watch Slaughter in San Francisco. I'm telling you. It's just been remastered on Blu-ray. Very entertaining. Chuck Norris as a badass. This was right around the time he made Way of the Dragon with Bruce Lee. I guess they had hired him for two movies, you know. And he's in this one, man. Bruce Lee was supposed to play in that, but Bruce Lee didn't like the script, so he told them, I ain't making this crap. Chuck is playing like a gang, you know, like a mob leader in the film. You know, he live in a mansion and stuff. He's like trying to assault the ladies and stuff, man. It's like, I'm telling you, he's something else in that movie. He told Don Wong he wanted him to work for him. Don Wong was like, I don't want to work for you. He was like, you gotta do what I tell you, Chinaman. Chuck was a badass in that movie. And I know why he don't want that film. part of his filmography because he's playing such a cruddy dude in that movie, and it was like early in his career. So he don't want people to remember that. But I got it on video. Rashid says, yeah, I believe that as well, Stormy B. Some people play entire videos of other people's content and don't get flagged. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. And I don't do anything but do reviews, right? This Kung Fu Film Focus is a review show and a discussion of the films of Kung Fu genre. I'm not trying to show the movie. I'm not trying to show, but they still will come at me if I show a trailer or something. I'm like, man, that's ridiculous. So I put together still photographs with the original theatrical posters. I do all of that. That's done with, at least I have some graphics to put up on the screen to show you guys. But it's like, to be able to show you the trailer and stuff, that gets you more hype. That make you go buy the movie or rent the movie or watch the movie or whatever. It's promotion for the movie. But here they come after me for foolishness, man. I ain't trying to play this stuff and get rich off of it or something like that. Nobody's trying to do that, man. I just do my best, man. I just do my best, Try to share with you guys, show you some Kung Fu movies, talk about them. See, we got Learn out there. What's going on with you? Salute to you. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it for this evening, man. I just thought I'd come out here, throw a little bit of death duel of Kung Fu at you. Get you guys to go check out this film. And hopefully you like it. Hopefully you like the action scenes, because that's what I'm really sold on. I really like the action scenes for this movie, man. It's, it's entertaining, very entertaining, But that's what we're going to do. We're going to get ready to get on out of here. I appreciate everybody that came out, man. Hit that like button on the way out if you didn't on your way in. And we'll be back very soon with another Kung Fu Film Focus. I got thousands of films that I could talk about, but only so much time. So just know when I do this, that's what it's all about, man. Just having a good time revisiting some of these action films. So peace to you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. And we'll catch you guys